Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today we're fortunate to have as our guests Laura Murata and Stacy Lloyd. Laura and Stacy are the co-founders of Creative Hub Worcester, a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing affordable and accessible opportunities in the arts for community members in the greater Worcester area, with a focus on at-risk and underserved youth. During the program, we're finding out why and how Creative Hub Worcester came about, how it's grown and developed, the current opportunities, and we'll also hear about some of the exciting upcoming and future plans. Let's start by meeting Laura and Stacy and then finding out all about Creative Hub Worcester. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh,
yes.
Delighted you're able to be here. It was just exciting to hear about your endeavor and just another example of the way that Worcester is growing and thriving in so many ways.
Absolutely.
It's no longer a sleeper place in many ways. There are so many wonderful things to take advantage of, and definitely your endeavor being one of them. Before we jump right to it, I think it would be of interest just to hear briefly a little about each of your backgrounds. Laura,
Sure.
please.
So currently I'm Executive Director of Creative Hub Worcester, and that's been my role for the past 3 years or so. And previous to that, I was an elementary art educator, so I worked in the Worcester Public School System and the Danvers Public School System for about 7 years. I'm also a working artist, so I do watercolor work and pen and ink. I'm a painter. Majored in painting at Boston University and education at Tufts. And I'm also the president of the Massachusetts Art Education Association, so we're a nonprofit that advocates for art educators throughout the state.
Fabulous, fabulous. Stacy,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you, thank you. My background's in art education as well, but at the middle level. I've been teaching at Worcester East Middle School for 18 years. It's an age that I absolutely love. Just born and bred just outside of Worcester, Mass, so it's kind of my stomping grounds growing up. And very much involved in a lot of the art aspect over the past 20 years in Worcester. So I've seen it kind of ebb and flow over the years, and it's been wonderful to actually see it start to really, reach a climax here with everything coming in, including the PawSox.
That's
very
gonna
excited.
Be fabulous, exciting, and I know you're located very close to where they're going to be.
We are, yeah. 2 Ionic Ave is about a block and a half from where the new stadium will be built.
Yes.
That'll be hopping for sure. Good. Well, how about Creative Hub Worcester? What was the genesis, the inspiration, motivation for both of you to get involved and get this off the ground?
Oh.
Well, we met through the Massachusetts Art Education Association, and both being art educators, we obviously shared a passion for bringing the arts to youth and the impact that arts and creative thinking can have on youth, especially in schools, but also outside of school. So kind of making it a part of their everyday lives.
And the nice thing that we bonded on was we both taught at different types of schools. So I was very inner city school. And it doesn't matter where the youth grow up and what kind of socioeconomic status they come from, there's still the same challenges and opportunities. So that was something that we talked about, is creating a place where you can address all that and bring them together.
And this was about 4 years ago that we kind of met and started having these discussions. And Stacy had been living in Worcester for a long time, but I grew up in Leominster, so not too far. But I hadn't been back to Worcester in quite a while. And obviously the city was changing. And we saw a really, really important opportunity to help fill sort of a gap and a need in the Worcester arts community, which is thriving. It just didn't necessarily provide access for everybody, for all community members.
Yeah, that's really what struck me as so noteworthy, the range of constituents that you're eventually going to be servicing and providing these opportunities for.
Worcester is very rich with culture and a lot of artists as well from all walks and backgrounds. And I'm one of the co-founders of Start on the Street, so Worcester's biggest art and music festivals.
Yeah.
So over the past, 17 years, we've seen what art and music means to the people of Worcester. So this is kind of a nice extension of that, but it's full time.
And for those of you who don't know, Start on the Street is, Central Massachusetts' largest arts and music festival. It brings over 60,000 people in one day to Worcester, Massachusetts for a free event.
So 300 artists, 3 stages. It's free to the public. Prices are low, so it brings in a lot of the newcomers to the art field, which is really nice, and that's something that we're tapping into with the Creative Hub as well.
Yeah. So from the idea and the initiative and the momentum and the initial vision, how did you get to where you are right now?
It's been a journey. Our initial vision was basically to create a collaborative space where artists could work amongst each other and host events and teach classes and really network and socialize and be among other people who are doing similar things to them. And our vision started small and it quickly grew. So we had a business plan. We worked with the Economic Development Office, the City of Worcester, and the Worcester Cultural Coalition has been incredibly supportive, especially from the very initial stages of our project. And they helped us look around at different spaces in the city that might fit for our programming. Keeping in mind we were both kind of brand new business owners. We have a lot of knowledge, we had a lot of knowledge in the content area, but not necessarily in the business area. So there were a lot of kind of support systems that we pulled in from different directions. And we finally, through the Economic Development Office, we happened upon the former Ionic Ave Boys Club in Worcester, which was built in 1914. It was just this bustling hub for over 2,000 boys every single day, as you can see. And this place was home for them. This wasn't just a place to go and it's like school or, they didn't want to go there. This place was everything. This is where they learned to do athletics. This is where they learned to make friends. This is where they learned to do wood shop and all different kinds of things. And also, more importantly, socialize and grow.
Right. It was a safe place for them to be as well. Worcester is a city of immigrants, and it still is. And, as they're all working in the factories, and then their children had a place to go and learn, and grow.
I mean, that's a fabulous shot there.
Isn't it?
Yeah, we're lucky that the Worcester Historical Museum provided these photos for us. And this is really it just gives a feel of the energy that was in the building and how it really saved so many lives almost 100 years ago.
And going out in Worcester quite a bit, between networking and just going out and trying all the new restaurants, we've met a lot of people who've gone to the Boys Club, and the stories we get from them, heartfelt and these big, gentlemen just breaking down in tears sometimes, just saying, how much it meant to them and it saved their lives, or gave them something to look forward to.
Well, before we bring it totally up to the current day, we have some wonderful historic photos that if you want to just share briefly what we're seeing here.
Sure, yeah. So this is the gymnasium on the first floor, and as you can see, it has a second floor track that goes all the way around. And there were some pretty famous basketball games and things like that, I guess, that went on in here. And this space is about 4,000 square feet. It still exists. We're going to try to retain the second floor track and turn it into a premier event venue that can be rented out for anything from weddings to corporate events, but also nonprofit galas and musical performances and all kinds of things.
Nice.
The nice thing is with the track, you have that second layer of viewing.
Yeah.
So it's great to have that extra level, especially for installation work and for.
And that was a running track up there, so it's actually
It's banked.
completely banked. So people would run along that track.
Nice.
Yeah.
And this one, what are we seeing here in this shot from the top?
Wrestling was very big back then, and this is they'd have these big competitions.
Yeah,
There was
look at
two
the
boys.
crowds.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's two different boys clubs. So this was the first one in Worcester built, and then because it became so crowded, they built another one downtown. So there was a lot of competition between the two, and a lot of rivalry between the two.
Yeah, also Armstrong, this man who came over from Pittsfield to build this Ionic Ave Boys Club, had this very strong passion and this sort of like overarching concept that if these young boys learned how to be team players in a sense, especially involving sports that were highly competitive, like boxing and wrestling and basketball, and if they learned how to do that in a very professional way, that would translate to other areas in their lives, and they would grow up to be sort of model citizens, of the early 1900s.
Nice, nice. And moving on here, we get a glimpse of some of the renovation that's going on.
Yeah, so this is just, what it looks like now. I mean, the building was vacant for almost 12 years. And so when we came in there with the Economic Development Office, it's a 40,000 square foot building. So 4 floors, we were able to tour the whole space. There was, quite a bit of damage that happens over 100 years. And so, that's kind of what the gymnasium looks like at its present. And it does have a very rustic feel. And we're going to retain a lot of the history as we continue to renovate.
Can you give us a sense of the vision of the different floors, what you see coming in the different spaces?
Absolutely. We can start on the ground level. The ground level is going to be dance and performance. We'll have classroom space down there as well, all being able to rent out to the community. First floor will house the gymnasium here on one side, and then on the other side is the maker space. We'll talk about that as well. Second floor is artist studios. So we try to clump together the different uses of the building. Second floor would be artist studios. I believe there's about 13 of them at the moment. We're working with the architects to fine-tune things. And the third floor is an indoor event space, creative offices, and a premier outdoor rooftop event space.
Yeah, we'll get a glimpse of that shortly. But before then, here's a fun touch. Stacy, would you share what we have here?
Yes, I'm a little bit of a Lego-holic, I guess you could say. I've been playing with Lego since I've been very, very little, and this is a scale model of the building that I built last year. Everything, you can look in each of the windows, and each window represents what we hope to be in the future. And I will say it's over 36,000 pieces. Yes, I did count. It took about 3 months to build.
Yeah, that must be a big hit with the different youth that come by.
Everyone. And the nice thing about it is the visual. It's one thing to have photos of the building, but for someone to actually step around this and walk around and look in the windows, it just brings it that much more to life for them as well.
That's wonderful. And going back inside the actual structure, want to expound on this one a little bit, please?
Sure. Yeah. This is on the second floor. It's actually my favorite room in the whole building. It's the former library. It has a beautiful arched ceiling, which none of the other rooms have, and a gorgeous fireplace. And it's going to be studio space or shared studio space or shared work space for artists. So the reason that we kind of kept different areas of programming on different floors was just to help with the flow of the building, because there's going to be lots of different people in there. And so we have some great historical photos of this room too. And most of the building overlooks the city, which is really nice.
Well, here we have this wonderful shot of the rooftop.
That overlooks downtown. It's redone right now, the rooftop. The previous owner we bought it from actually redid all the roofs to shore up the structure for the winter time and the long term. And that will be the rooftop looking over event space.
Gorgeous.
And it was originally slated to be a rooftop garden for the boys club. It never ended up being used as that, but they were way ahead of their time. So
absolutely.
currently there is no rooftop public space in the city of Worcester.
And our idea is to bring back that original concept of the rooftop garden, so the event space will come in from the outside edges a little bit, about 8 feet, and then we'll bring back the greenery.
Nice.
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 To retain that original concept of the roof.
What's the timetable for the construction right now?
If we're able to close all of our financing by the end of the calendar year, then we can start construction beginning of 2020, and it would be about a 12-month construction process.
Oh, fabulous. So
Yeah.
within 2 years,
Yeah.
you'll be up and running
Yes.
full bloom.
So a lot of the infrastructure is needed, all the infrastructure is needed. The building itself, the bones of the building is very, very good, very structurally sound.
Well, now that we have a sense of the structure and the vision, let's dig in a little bit and hear about the range of programming. I know we mentioned at the outset, and you've referred to a little bit, the emphasis on youth arts.
Yes.
What are some of the ideas you have planned and that have actually started with that in mind?
Yeah, so really exciting. Something that we did last year was we renovated a different space that's actually right around the corner from this building. And it's another old building. It was actually formerly the Berwick Furniture Building, also built in, I think, the early 1900s, late
about the same
1800s.
time.
And the first floor commercial space of that building was unused, and it was vacant. Again, like literally a 1-minute walk from where our other building is. And as an organization, we wanted to be able to also start some programming while this whole campaign was going on, because we knew it was going to be at least a couple of years out. So it was about a 8 or 9 month renovation process. We were able to get a community block development grant for some of that from the city of Worcester, because it was a vacant storefront at one of the busiest intersections in the city. And the neighborhood that our building bookends is known as Main South, and is traditionally known kind of as an underserved neighborhood. A long time ago, maybe like a very dangerous place to go. So the stigma that survives based on that intersection is very powerful. And because the space was vacant, even though the rest of the building is apartments that are full, people didn't feel safe walking in that area. So we decided to renovate that space. It's about, 3,000 or 4,000 square feet. And we currently have an after-school program in there that serves low-income and at-risk youth. So it's Monday through Friday, 2:30 to 5:30. And yeah, this is some of our youth working in our space. So it's an arts-based program. And we're licensed by the state of Massachusetts, so we accept child care vouchers from low-income families. So we're able to serve some of that, demographic, and it's just been really exciting.
Absolutely, exposing them and giving them the opportunity to engage in the arts, in an after-school program. So it's been wonderful to watch the kids.
But the way you're diversified, you're involved in so many things now.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. We also have teen programs. So we have another organization, Main Idea, that comes in on Tuesday nights, and they offer a free teen arts program there. So we rent the space out to other nonprofits to be able to utilize for their programming that has, arts or creative focus. There was just an open mic poetry night that was hosted at our space.
There's a lot of opportunities, but we also we reach out to the other organizations. One of the ways that we came up with the name Creative Hub, being a hub of creativity, but not reinventing the wheel, as opposed to reaching out to the other organizations that maybe don't have a home, that need a place to have their programs, and offer them this space.
Yeah, providing space and providing an ecosystem.
And collaboration, which has been wonderful. We've made some wonderful, collaborations between us and other organizations, and between other organizations themselves. So it's been a nice breeding ground for a lot of that.
Wonderful. We mentioned briefly, and maybe just say another couple words about the makerspace, what that's going to be like.
You want to take?
Sure. So on On the first floor, there's going to be a maker space that's going to be visual arts or fine arts focused. There are a couple of other maker spaces that exist in Worcester right now that are more tech focused or more industrial focused, and they're kind of, they're a big thing, especially in growing cities. And the business model is that artists or hobbyists or college students or whatever pay a monthly membership fee, and they get access to that space and all different kinds of equipment that they can use to work on. For example, printing presses, textile equipment, ceramics equipment. And so there isn't a visual or fine arts makerspace in Worcester yet. And I think Worcester being such a big college town too, there's a lot of students that graduate and they're looking to be able to retain that network instead of just working out of their homes or, something like that. It's just, we were both artists, we both graduated from art school, and it's just hard to find that community after you graduate.
Absolutely, and it's much needed too to keep your passion growing in the arts and keep keep people involved in it, because it's very easy to just kind of get sucked up by life, so to speak, right. So, Laura mentioned a whole community and an ecosystem that we're developing here. It's very important to us to keep it that way.
Oh, and to have the artist studios.
Yeah.
To have that vibrant aspect of it.
Yeah, we have over half of them pre-rented already. We get calls all the time.
Yeah. And then the event space, which will bring in outsiders as well. So those who wouldn't normally go to, a gallery, now they're coming in for another event, and then they're walking through. They can walk through, visit the artists, see them working. So it creates that new dialogue.
Open studio Fridays and Saturdays. It's not something that Worcester has, and it's something that we're very passionate about having. So the public, coming in and seeing the artists in process and seeing the artwork happen, being able to buy artwork out of the artist studios, which creates more sustainability for them. So there's a lot there.
Absolutely, and this all goes back to the years done at Start on the Street, where everybody goes. Every community member has shown up to start, and you see them all walks of life, and they're engaged with what's going on, and to be able to make that happen, full time is amazing.
Yeah. And I think a really important thing that we talk a lot about is that, the arts and creativity is a pathway for other things. So it's a pathway for growth, for children, for self-expression, for therapy, for job creation. You don't have to consider yourself an artist or consider yourself an arts, whatever, to be able to go to our space and experience what's happening. And that's something that's really important to us.
Terrific philosophy and approach. We're fortunate to have a video clip of both of you as well as others in the community artists talking about this initiative, and I think it's important to take a look at it and then continue our conversation.
For sure.
So let's take a look at the clip and then we'll be right back.
I know what the arts did for me as a child and how it helped me become successful, and I just wanted to bring that joy and that passion back to other youth and adults as well, but mostly the youth, and let them experience what the arts and how powerful that can be.
Evolve into a totally new, inspired, urban environment that is embracing artists of all likes and trying to find vehicles to help support them to make art everywhere.
Art is that place where kids learn that it's okay to fail, and it's okay to start over, and it's okay to make mistakes, and every day you have to come back and try it again until you're successful in your own way.
The more that we can bring people together to communicate through art, the richer our communities are.
A multi-use arts center that is accessible to all community members through things like free community outreach programs, affordable workshops, and the idea of a visual arts, fine arts makerspace, which is not something that we have in the studio.
It's an ecosystem, creating an ecosystem of creatives, and and that exposure between those who are the creatives building and creating in the space, and those who come to learn about it, and then those who are coming to the events, like Laura said.
When you rent a space in a place like this, you're really sending a message, and the message is pretty darn strong, and it says this is not a hobby. This is not something I do to kill time with. This is not just keeping myself entertained. This is a serious enterprise. I intend to make a contribution to the artistic community in which I live.
The City of Worcester has a wonderful foundation in the arts and culture between all the organizations that already exist. And this is a way to keep that going long term. It's entry level, beginning level for a lot of the artists coming in, performers coming in, and it's a great, as we say, pipeline to the other organizations.
This neighborhood is going to become very much livelier, much more activity going on, and a much stronger focus on the arts, not just among people like me who are artists, but people who live in the neighborhood. You know, who don't think of themselves as artists, but are looking at what's going on and beginning to get involved in their own ways.
I think it's great. They're going to save the building and use it for a arts studio. People can come and do art, and the building's being saved.
Laura and Stacy are just the right people because they're innovators, they're practicing artists themselves, and they know that arts work, and that arts matter, and that arts change lives.
Wonderful. I mean, terrific to add on to the remarks you made earlier, and then just to see other members of the community, because that's definitely coming strong through, is the emphasis, the use of the hub, the connections, and maybe just very briefly before we run out of time, speaking of different connections, if people you might want to highlight up here, different groups.
Sure, absolutely. We have tape artists, Michael and Leah up here. They go all around the country, actually. They do tape art. This is actually a partnership with the Worcester Center for Crafts over here in the corner. This is Raices Latin Dance Studio, so part of our dance performance space.
That's an after-school, a summer camp program at WPI over there. And then at the YMCA, again, we've been teaching throughout Worcester for many, many years. So these are little snapshots of
how we connect with the community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what's been the reaction and feedback from the immediate members and maybe even by now extended Worcester community?
Yeah, I mean, our very first open house in that building was June 25th, 2016.
Oh, yes.
And during that open house, we had community members write on these little pieces of paper what they wanted to, see in the hub and what they were excited about. And actually, we just recently did that again for another project. And everybody thinks that the idea of access is important, and when I talk about access, I make sure that people understand that it's not just financial access, but locational, cultural access, and social emotional access that we want to make sure that we provide, because that's what our mission is. That's literally the most important thing to be able to reach all community members, specifically when a city is growing as quickly as Worcester is.
No, as I said at the outset, just another terrific example of the wonderful undertakings in the city of Worcester these days. So continued success with this effort.
Thank you.
I know there's a big capital campaign people can become involved with, or just to find out, to go to your website.
Yes.
creativehubworcester.org to find out more about programming and other opportunities. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Also want to thank those of you watching for joining us, and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.